Welcome back to the channel today, guys. Now, we have a pretty interesting episode of Bleach today, honestly, because I heard from a little birdie that they added some scenes to the episode today to kind of flush out the story a bit better. And I find that really interesting, because if they're doing stuff like that now, it just makes me think, what could they do towards the end of this arc to fix things? If you're a manga reader, you know. And they added some extra scenes today. And I'll be real with you guys. I went through the episode twice, actually, just to see if I could try to remember what was changed or not. I couldn't. Because it's been so long. I don't remember too much from the manga, except one scene I do remember very vividly, that we'll talk about when we get to it, that I kind of popped off a little bit during, I'm not going to lie. But yeah, guys, it's really interesting. If they're adding things to it, who knows how much better the anime could end up being than the manga. It kind of makes me excited. But enough talking about that. I just wanted to mention that real quick. Let's get into it and talk about Bleach 1000 Year Blood War, episode 3 today. Now, our episode begins, and we're immediately in the thick of it, because we pick up where we left off last week, with just the Tres Bestia just getting absolutely washed by Quilge, Stern Rider 7, as he addresses Ichigo and says, a Soul Reaper with an Aran car on their back. You don't see that every day. You really don't, no. That being said, I know all about you, Ichigo Kurosaki. The dabbing that His Majesty gave us included information about you. You were listed as a special threat, and we should prioritize dealing with you. As Ichigo gets jumped by a bunch of low-level jabroni Quincy's, as he asks them, wait a minute, so are you Quince? And he gets cut off immediately by Quilge as he says, oh my, you don't know, you engaged us without knowing who we were? He's like, in that case, let me answer your question. As he draws his freaking sword bow, because why not, and says, yes, we are Quincy's, as he attacks Ichigo. And it's here we transition back to the captain's room as Yamamoto asks Mayuri, where is their base of operations? Mayuri says he hasn't found it yet, and Yamamoto says, then we don't have a way to attack them. Because you see, Yamamoto wants to fight. He is heated right now, as he tells them, I'm ordering all squad captains to prepare for war. The advance guard announced that the battle would begin in 5 days. But there's no reason to believe in the words of these treacherous fellows that would launch a surprise attack. We need to prepare for battle at once. We must not let them get the upper hand again. And Yamamoto is fuming. He's ready to go, man. He's heated. So it's here we transition back to Hueco Mundo as we see Ichigo took that attack and we see his sword drop. And we're sitting here like, no, he got hurt. Oh no, what are we gonna do? But nah, Chad Ichigo, man, just caught the attack and throws it back at him, saying, that's weird. I heard that Quincy's only use bows. He tosses Nell to Orihime and Chad as he continues his fight with Quilge. As Quilge tells him, impressive. It makes me dismayed by my lack of skill. Ichigo tells him, nah, don't worry about it. Your arrows were a lot stronger than Ishida's. He says, Ishida? Are you referring to Uryu Ishida? He says, Uryu's attack is weaker than mine? That's odd. That's not possible. And that's the scene I remember from the manga. I remember this panel very specifically, as Ichigo is shocked by this fact. Like, what do you mean? I like the saying he says as he tells Ichigo, whoops, speech is silver, but silence is golden. I can't say anymore. As he tells Ichigo that, it's time for me to stop fooling around. I just received orders from His Majesty. In short, it means you're going to die here, as he releases the Quincy's final state, less still. As he reveals his glove and a giant amount of energy is released. Now, if you guys remember, this is the technique that Uryu used against Mayuri when they invaded the Soul Society pretty early on in Bleach. It's like the Quincy's last resort, and he's using it right now against Ichigo. And as the pillar of light dissipates and we see him, he looks pretty cool actually, as he says, "Allow me to explain. The proper name of this form is Quincy Volsternditch." As we transition to Bach getting a report that Ichigo is fighting Quilge right now, so he's like, perfect, let's go. They're like, where are we going to? He says, isn't it obvious? As we see that an imperial order has been issued to every Sternrider. They are immediately to get fully equipped and go to the Gate of the Sun, because they're going to invade the Soul Society right now, while Ichigo is not there. As we transition back to Ichigo and Quilge's fight, as he tells Ichigo, do you feel it? Do you feel the pulsation of my power? And I don't know how I feel about another man asking me that question, honestly, as he gets behind Ichigo and their fight continues. He tells Ichigo that you seem confused. I know what you're thinking. Let me give you a definitive answer on that. My power is something completely different than what you're thinking. The Quincy let still that you know is a relic of the past that died out 200 years ago due to its fragile nature. The only one who was attached to it was Soken Ishida, so Uryu's master, who flat out rejected our research and evolution. By comparison, our Volsternditch, the difference in power is as far apart as heaven and earth. But Ichigo's not affected by these attacks. He tells him, I see. I never knew your history, but in short, your power is different from Uryu, right? As he delivers a Getsuga Tensho to Quilge. And Quilge's not even phased as he tells Ichigo, you should aim your strikes. That said, even if you did that, you wouldn't find any weaknesses. As he starts charging up this massive attack and absorbing all the reishi in the area, even Odahime's Sotenkushin is being absorbed, her barrier, basically. But as he's charging it up, we just see a giant fist smash through it and send him flying. As we see Ion actually show up. And I didn't remember that he showed up in this scene. I'm like, wait, did that happen? It was pretty cool though, I gotta admit. As we see the Trios Bestia back, as they say, oh, you thought we couldn't fight anymore, huh? I thought we told you that you shouldn't underestimate us. Now, if you don't remember, they even explain it in this scene that Ion is a monster created through the fusion of their left arms. Ion attacks Quilge, and Quilge's like, nah, a monster like this could never beat my Volsternditch, as he just gets absolutely rocked. But it's here we transition to Uryu looking through his family's library as he gets approached by his father. He tells him the Soul Society and Hueco Mundo are being invaded by people, and they're most likely Quincy's. There shouldn't be any Quincy's in existence besides us. Do you know what the hell is going on? His father tells him this has nothing to do with you, and actually tries to leave. Uryu says, are you just gonna avoid me again? Because if you remember, these two do not have a good relationship. As Uryu even says that, I'm the last Quincy. I have a right to know what's going on here. As his father tells him that the answer you seek cannot be found here. Now this next scene is very dialogue heavy, but I want to throw it in for you guys this time because I want to give you guys kind of a little bit of a refresher as to why the Quincy's and Soul Reapers are fighting to begin with. Because it's here we transition back to Soul Society as we see that they're preparing for the Quincy's to attack. As we see Shino and Yuki actually there from our previous episode. And Yuki asks Shino like, so why are the Soul Reapers and Quincy's fighting to begin with? We both share the same goal of defeating Hollows, don't we? And this question gets answered by Kajamaru, who's in Squad 13's 6th seat. And they present it like, oh, it's him, remember him? And I'm sitting here like, I don't remember who this dude is. Well, I don't know this guy. Knockoff looking Aizen is what he looks like. As he says that you understand the laws of this world where souls circulate between the world and the living in the Soul Society, don't you? However, souls that become hollows in the world of the living cannot return to the Soul Society. And it's here we get a little bit of a refresher in case you don't remember that. By purifying hollows and delivering their souls to the Soul Society, they are led back to the normal circulation of souls. This is the job of Soul Reapers. However, Quincy's destroy and extinguish souls that have become hollows. And by doing that, the souls are unable to return to the Soul Society. As Quincy's extinguish more hollows in the world of the living, the number of souls is diminished, disrupting the natural balance. Meaning that the balance of souls will eventually be ruined, causing the Soul Society to leak into the world of the living, ending in the simultaneous destruction of both worlds. Meaning that if they can't keep this balance, both worlds are going to destroy themselves. As we transition to Uryu, who thinks a bit harder about his dad's words and decides that I should go to his study. And while he's looking around, he actually finds an old book written by his master. As we continue our conversation in Soul Society, that to prevent this destruction, the Soul Society has repeatedly approached the Quincy's, but they were turned away every single time. And as the world was heading towards destruction, and after a lot of conversation about it, the Quincy extermination mission was finally carried out 200 years ago. And the grudge born of their genocide will never perish. As we see that Uryu is shook by what he's reading. As we transition to Yamamoto calling in Mayuri, and he says, you know why you're here. Mayuri says, it's because I took my squad and expunged 28,000 citizens in the Rukon district, right? Because you see, Mayuri actually sacrificed all those people in the Rukon district. It wasn't the Quincy's that got them. He took them, sacrificed them to correct the balance of souls in the Soul Society so the worlds would not collide together. He even says that if you consider the fact that the lives of the people of the Rukon district stops the collapse of both worlds, then it's not even that big of a loss. Pretty messed up, honestly. But he's right to an extent. As Mayuri tells Yamamoto that the moment that the Quincy's known as Uryu Ishida infiltrated the Soul Society, I had already foreseen this would happen and had given my advice. You are the one who chose to needlessly disregard my words, head captain. Everything that's happening right now stems from the fact that you, head captain, couldn't kill that man 1,000 years ago. As we transition back to Ion just beating the dog shit out of Quilge right now. Allegedly. But all of a sudden, he stabs Apaki and says, the report did not indicate this kind of power. As we see that his neck is broken here as he's able to put it back into place. As he says, each and every one of you will die here immediately. As he just starts absorbing all of the reishi in the area. And even kills Ion by absorbing him. As he calls the technique Sclave Ra. A Quincy's basic ability to focus reishi. When taken to its highest limits, it becomes the absolute subordination of reishi. As we see his new transformation after absorbing this energy, and he looks demonic. He looks like a Hollow and Quincy fused together. And just before he's about to take everyone out with this attack, Ichigo comes from behind him, attacks the disc on his back, and they start fighting yet again. As he says that, if I destroy that disc on your back, you can't use your ability anymore, can you? As Quilge tells him, man, you really are difficult to deal with, aren't you, Soul Reaper? And it's here we transition back to Uryu, as his father actually sees him in his office. And Uryu says, is this true? Are the things written here true? I guess you know everything then. About the Wanden watch, about the guy referred to as His Majesty. And even about Uryu's mother, which we will get into later on. I won't mention it now, but we'll get into that later. And his father still continues to tell him that this has nothing to do with you, as Uryu actually runs out. And that's not possible at this point, you know? This has a lot to do with Uryu. So the fact that his father is keeping this from him is already a red flag. Remember that. And it's here we transition back to the Soul Society as the Quincy's attack. And all hell breaks loose. We even get our first appearance of Rukia and Renji in this season as they're shocked about what's going on. And it's here we transition to some fodder Soul Reapers getting ready to fight, and they just get absolutely eviscerated. We see Izuru get his arm blown off and a giant hole put through him, and he's done. We see some Soul Reapers trying to release their swords, only to just get smashed into the ground. Absolutely demolished. As they say, sorry, but our orders are to kill you all. As we just see the faces of a lot of the Quincy's as they say, tremble in fear, Soul Reapers. The stern riders are going to purge all of you. As our episode ends right there. And we had a really good episode, actually. We had kind of like a little recap, a little refresher, in case you guys didn't remember exactly why the Quincy's and Soul Reapers were fighting all the time. Which is a good thing. You know, it has been 10 plus years since the show has been around. So a little refresher like this is probably a good thing for people. But we see the start of the war as the Quincy's invade the Soul Society. And that's wild, guys. I'll just say, I remember this part in the manga. I remember this. We're in for a hell of a ride. I'll tell you guys that right now. But you guys let me know in the comments what you thought about this, huh? We're starting our fight. How do you think it's gonna go? You think it's gonna be complete annihilation? Let me know in the comments below. But yeah, guys, like I said, like I've been saying, it's so great to have Bleach back. 10 years, man, and it's better than ever. But until next time, guys, I hope you have a great day, week, month, and year. And until then, deuces, have a blessed day, and try not to get a hole blown through your chest, too. That would not be very good. I'll see you guys next time.